What is up, ladies and gentlemen? How we doing tonight? Welcome to our Dark Souls 2 lore through. We are on a different character. Currently, we'll get back to our playthrough here in just a second. I didn't get an opportunity to farm the Hide Knight set, and in case we don't we don't get lucky and don't get any of the Hade Knight's armor, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read this item description on one of my other characters. Gauntlets worn by Hade Knights. Whether Hade refers to a kingdom or was just a name for the land is not clear, for no records date back far enough to tell. All that is known is that the Way of the Blue has its origins in Hade, and that Hade was later subsumed by the sea. So, we're dealing with a pretty ancient place when it comes to Hade, apparently. So that's kind of like another thematic thing that runs through Dark Souls 2 is the idea that many kingdoms have risen and fallen on the same land. So there's a lot of history and information that's kind of just lost to the sands of time. Uzuki FTW, we're already level 47. That seems really high. That seems really high, actually. Okay. I don't even remember leveling up that much, but I guess so, huh? Alright. So we are gonna head back over to Hade. And I guess we will finish up the other boss over here, huh? Normally, I spend time to farm a full set of the Hade Knight set because I like it a lot. But I don't really think sitting here and farming will be all that interesting. And because I don't want to not stream, or I don't want to start something else tonight, unless I stream like FTL or something, but that's going to take a few minutes to set up, and we're already here, we're already doing this. So there's not really a point in doing anything else. In my honest opinion. Parried. I'm feeling much better than I was the other day. Yesterday I had the day off. I was able to catch up on some sleep. Get some good vibes going. This is such a good shield. Decent utility because of the item find. Decent amount of physical protection. It's not the greatest when it comes to stability, but it's average, I'd say. It's good enough. 2, 3. Yeah, I could run past a lot of this, but I am killing it mostly because free souls? I mean, why not? If the souls are free, then the souls are for me. Yo, easy, Tiger. Tonight might be... We'll see how things go. I was thinking that tonight might end up being a shorter stream. But, like I said, we'll have to see how things play out. Because I don't really like leaving areas half-finished. If I start an area, generally I'll try to finish in the same setting. There are some exceptions, like if the area is split up into 2 parts really nicely, then I might do like the first half and then come back and do the second half later. But there's not really any sections off the top of my head for the areas we're about to encounter that will be like that. You know what? I'm gonna switch off of this real quick. I don't want to use up all my durability on that other weapon, on my rapier. I'm just only gonna take a few extra hits with my flame longsword to take this guy down. So. And of course, we want to kill this guy as well. Aggro him with the bow and arrows. Oh. Ah! Whoa! That was weird. I like got the backstab, but he spun around quickly and nicked me. Come on, friend. Please stop doing that attack. I need you to do not that one either. There we go. That's what we were looking for. There's the money. And everybody knows we in it for the money. Get that sideways parry. We on top of our game tonight, boys. We on top of our game. So, you don't need to summon for this boss. This boss is stupid easy. If you know what you're doing. I'll say that. If you know what you're doing, this boss is stupid easy. But if you don't know what you're doing, there's a pretty badass summon here. Now, normally, you know what? You guys can see the summon for yourself. If you really want to see the summon that badly, you can check him out. His name is Masterless Glencore, and he's a beast! I was thinking about summoning him and then, you know, maybe just letting him fight the boss, because he can solo this boss. He's an NPC summon that can solo this boss. He's like Iron Target status. But, I don't know. I don't think that's fair. This boss is pretty straightforward. I said I'm gonna be making an effort to talk a little bit more about like fighting the bosses and boss strategies and stuff like that. So this boss is pretty straightforward. Can be parried, can't be riposted though. Has a lot of frontal directional attacks and a great shield. The big trick is to basically just circle strafe and if you can, parry. Parrying this guy leaves him stunned for a couple of seconds so you can get a good hit or two in. Whoop, totally mistimed that. There we go. Like I said, he can be parried. Then you walk behind him, stab him in the butt. Whoop, I thought... Whoop. Oh, he's like throwing me off. He's only doing... Gonna heal real quick. Scary. There we go. I can do this all day, buddy. Maybe I can't. Spoke too soon. Get them heals going. This is what happens when you get stupid with your boss fights. You get wrecked. But we're going for style here. Get parried. Buckler OP. What's up, Swerve? Got here just in time to see us parry the Dragon Rider Knight to death. we were having fun with it. We almost died. I will admit, we almost died, but we were having fun with it. And that's what matters, right? Gotta have fun. Here we have a bonfire. And a, right before you... Nice. So you got to see me mess around with the Dragon Rider Knight. Parry the bastard to death. Here we have a character of dubious development. We're going to come back to her a few times throughout this playthrough. Let's see what she has to say here.
Are you from these parts? My name is Lycia. I have come to spread the art of miracles, a practice of which I am a disciple. I can see that you are well suited to comprehend their wondrous power. But the cost of it, that's for your heart to decide.
Well, the cost is going to be expensive because we can't actually use any of these miracles yet. Man, Lightning Spear was so good before they nerfed it in Dark Souls 2. It used to have like 20 something charges on it, and you could just wreck the game with it. It was so strong. A miracle that launches a spear of lightning. Said to be the legacy of an ancient clan whose leader was revered as the god of sun. The name of the clan has been lost to time, but that gross incandescence of our magnificent fathers shall never wane. If only I could be so grossly incandescent. That is a direct reference to Solaire of Astora. Well, not really a direct reference, an indirect reference. Yeah, we're showing those Drangleic infantry how it's done. Showing them that you can parry. Get rid of that great shield. Swap on a buckler. Parry the enemies to death. You can do it. I believe in you, Drangleic infantry. Yeah, these are a bunch of miracles. We're not going to look at all of them now. We will buy all these eventually. Got to do it for the lore. She has more to tell us, though. So let's see what else she has to say.
I'd heard awful rumors about this place, and I'm afraid they were all true. The king, gone. The earth, ravaged. The burden on the people weighs heavy. I fear that, by now, they may have scarce room in their hearts for miracles. Why did I come here? Well... do I need any other reason than to spread the gospel of miracles? My preceptor always said this art should be shared with the world. And such is my only wish. Sometimes I fight the urge to pack up and go back home. It is... well, I must do this. And being out here all alone only makes this a more fitting test of my fortitude. I expected this cathedral to be bustling, but there's hardly a soul to be found here. Without any goings-on, I'll have to move soon. To a place I could gull the... sorry, help the gullible by teaching the good word. I expected this without to a
So we get some insight as to what's going on with her.
No need for miracles. The gods.
We will see her again soon enough. But she lets on. She kind of plays her hand a little bit. She's kind of like preying on the weak-minded, convincing people that, you know, they need to buy her miracles. She's a little bit more important to the story than some of the NPCs we've met so far. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll talk more about her later. For now, however, we're gonna sit at this bonfire. And then I think we're gonna go ahead and move along to the next zone. We have a kind of like intermission area here. Oh, I thought I was under that. I was not. Was definitely not. We got some goodies to pick up. We've got some neat things to find. Like a human effigy and dark troches. Troches with an inexplicably pungent odor temporarily boost dark defense. Verbal history is often mentioned. Saint Elizabeth, her uniquely concocted medicines and potions are still widely used today. Saint Elizabeth. For those of you who don't know, that is Elizabeth from Dark Souls 1. She was a character in Ulasil, the Artorias of the Abyss DLC. Old Knight Halberd, I doubt that has any lore on it that we haven't already seen. Nope. Same as all the other Old Knight pieces. But yeah, Elizabeth was a character from Ulasil, the Artorias of the Abyss DLC from Dark Souls 1. She was an important character there. I think she was supposed to be the leader of Ulasil at the time. And I don't know if she got like transformed into a mushroom or was always a mushroom. I don't know. But she was a mushroom that you could talk to. And she was known for... Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. She was known... Whoa! I was not expecting to see you there. Let me finish what I'm talking about. She was known for, like, creating healing salves and medicines and stuff like that. So, apparently, according to these, she has become a saint. And is still widely known and for her medicines, which are still apparently quite popular. Let's go ahead and... There we go! Third time's the charm, right? The timing on that is kind of weird, but we got there. Sublime Bone Dust. This is the first Sublime Bone Dust that we see, if I am not mistaken. Charred Ashen Bones. Cast them into the Farfire and Majula to increase the HP restored with each use of your flask. They say these are the remains of a saint who cast himself into the bonfire, but we will never know for sure, for soot and ashes tell no story. They say these are the remains of a saint who cast himself into the bonfire. Huh. There's a few different ideas on who that saint in question is. Some think that the saint is the player character from Dark Souls 1. Some players think that it's supposed to be Lord Gwyn. And others think that it might be referencing Solaire. Because Miyazaki has stated that he likes to think that if the player character helps save Solaire, Solaire goes on to linking the fire in his own world. Personally, I don't really have an opinion. I think it's just I believe it's supposed to be left intentionally as vague as it is, just so people will discuss it and just so people will speculate about it. There's no real proof for any of the major theories on the subject. So it's largely just for where the functionality of the item meets the lore. These are basilisks. Whoa! Got some undead here and some basilisks, or a basilisk. The basilisk, of course, a very despised enemy from Dark Souls 1, who has long since been nerfed. Not nearly as bad as in Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 3. But that also makes sense because basilisks cause petrification. And as we can see here, well, it's a petrified goblin, they're called. We're going to use a fragment branch of Yor here, because there's some pretty good stuff beyond this point. Wow, that like attack speed is a bit odd. He like has this huge wind up and then this quick attack. Doesn't matter though, he doesn't do a lot of damage, so we can kill him fairly effortlessly. And we come up here and see this big fella here. And see how he likes my bow and arrows. So this is kind of what I mean, right? You have these enemies who have a, you know, where their aggro radius is, their aggro range is only so big, right? So you can stand outside their aggro range, shoot them with bow and arrows, and basically just you kind of abuse the AI to get these easy kills if you're struggling with enemies. Of course, whoa, you do a lot of damage, but also we do a lot of damage to you. So it doesn't really matter terribly. Here we get an Estus Flask Shard. We also get a treasure chest. Get the Knight set. Go ahead and have a look at this. Metal gauntlets worn by knights. Standard issue for new Dranglaic knights. Knights have long trusted these gauntlets for their excellent functionality. What about, okay, nothing really too different to say on any of the other pieces, it seems. This is a slightly lighter armor, I will say that. Yeah, it looked like it anyway. Yeah, it is. This is the Knight set. You'll probably recognize it. It's the standard Knight set from Dark Souls 1. We can go ahead and rock this for the time being. Over here, we have a door that leads to nowhere. It's bothered a lot of people. A lot of people have wished that that door led somewhere, but it doesn't. You look very traditional in a good way. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's the kind of like a traditional knight outfit. I like the design of this armor. I will say that much. It's the same exact design as the knight set from Dark Souls 1. It's different than the design of the Dark Souls 2 knight, though. I don't think there's a secret in here. No, there isn't. Just had to triple check. Classic Knight is definitely stylish. I agree with you there. The Elite Knight set is even cooler. But we haven't seen that yet. Mostly because I haven't spent the souls on what's his name. We're going to head back to Majula here for a second because we want to upgrade our Estus Flask in 2 different ways, actually. First being the bone shard we found. That'll bring our Estus Flask up to +1, so it'll heal us for a little bit more. Secondly, we want to give the Estus Flask over to the Emerald Herald here.
Is that a shard you found? Here to see, however.
Let's see how much we can level up here. We have 5 levels. We could bring our attunement up to 10, but we don't really have any spells we could use in conjunction with that. Could bring our dexterity up to 25. Could bring our adaptability up to 27. I think we're gonna go ahead and bring my faith up to. Well, let me check one thing really fast. Yeah, the next area, not really my favorite zone. But it's part of the game. We got to do it, whether we like it or not. You can't enjoy 100% of every video game. I want to look at something here. 13 and 13. Okay. So we're going to need to bring our faith and intelligence up to 13 each, it seems, to use the weapon that we want to use. So we can go ahead and bring our faith up to 11, I guess. We need 11, 12. We need another 5 points. Well, before I lock in any level ups, let's do a couple of things. I need to read the Dragon Rider soul. I haven't done that yet. Let's go ahead and do that now. Soul of a Dragon Rider who faithfully served King Vendrick. Long ago, the Dragon Riders mounted worms and were feared on the battlefield for their unparalleled strength. So they rode worms, which are different than wyverns and dragons in the Dark Souls universe. It's an important distinction to make. And they were feared on the battlefield for their unparalleled strength. I don't know. I don't know so much about that because they can get parried to death like bitches. I'm just saying. Just putting it out there. It's open for interpretation.
Bear, seek, lest.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and bring our faith up to 10. We'll just bring it up to 11. And then with the remaining 4,000 souls, I think we're going to go ahead and pick up some life gems.
Thank you.
Never want to be short on life gems. I may want to have... was gonna say maybe I should have bought that Pharos' Lockstone, but I don't really think it'll matter too much. How are we doing? 0 drop frames. Excellent. Yesterday we had a lot of drop frames and I have no idea why. But today seems to be much, much better. No Man's Wharf. I agree, no man should ever come here. We'll just use the large leather shield as a secondary shield for now. We want something that blocks a little bit better on the physical side of things than the buckler. So this is probably going to be the first area that I feel like will particularly test your patience. I already mentioned I don't really like this zone. And it's mostly, again, because of the way that they use ambush mechanics. There is some pretty neat stuff here that that doesn't bother me, that I do actually like. But the way that the enemies are placed doesn't jive really well with me. And that in specifically is a huge, huge detraction from this zone overall, in my opinion. Oh, I thought I would be able to sidestep that. I could not. Go ahead, pop a life gem here. When I tell you that a bow and arrow, or some sort of ranged weapon, is a highly useful thing to have in Dark Souls 2, specifically Dark Souls 2, I am not lying. High CPU usage detected. You may experience performance issues. Why is that? Why do we have high CPU usage going on? I don't have anything else open. Just streaming. I don't know. Hang on one second here, guys. Let's see if that helps at all. I'm going to keep an eye on my XSplit here, because I want to pay attention to if we're dropping frame. Whoa, wrong window. I want to pay attention to if we're dropping a lot of frames or not. Okay. See, like this guy hanging off the edge. If you're not paying attention to this guy, he can pop up behind you and wreck your shit real good. Real good. Of course, you do have a Bradley of the Old Guard shade that you can summon. That'll help you out a little bit if you're really struggling. But we're tough cookies. We're gonna go ahead and try and get through this area without summoning, without relying on Bradley of the Old Guard. So this is like a prime example of why I don't like this zone. Because I can't parry this Axe Hollow. So I'm gonna pull one of these guys here, and then everybody is gonna come running out after me. Well, Huh. That's interesting. Normally, when I do that, I've just been proven wrong. Normally, when I do that, if I attack one of them in there with the bow and arrow, like I just did, both those guys come after me, these guys come after me, because there's another one or two people in here. And then that guy drops down and comes after me. So suddenly you're fighting like 5 dudes at one time. And it can be a bit hairy. Oh, these guys saw me. Missed the parry there. Alright, we'll just kill you the old-fashioned way. Man, I stopped fighting these hollows and I've become crappy at parrying them. Alright, we picked up a new item here. We'll take a look at this. The dark pine resin. Hexed pine resin. Applies dark flame to right-hand weapon. Dark flame to right-hand weapon. It's interesting. The affected weapon inflicts dark damage for a short time, particularly effective against enemies that fear dark, such as clerics and magical creatures. A little bit more interesting information there. It's actually dark flame. Which I guess makes sense when I think about it, but I never really noticed that before. So like I said, this area does some stuff that I cannot stand, but this area also gets away with some cool stuff that I love. This is one of those things. Over here we see a torch-bearing hollow. If we walk up, he's looking at us, he's targeting us, but he's totally non-hostile. I'm going to show you guys something really cool. If we go ahead and start walking away, good old Timothy is going to follow us around. Like I said, he's totally non-aggressive. Totally non-hostile. And this is something that's really cool to me. In this area that is this dark, right? They have this non-aggressive torch hollow who will follow you around and provide light. It's just a little tiny touch that to me is incredibly fascinating. And up here we have a new NPC, a very cool NPC, maybe my favorite in all of Dark Souls 2. Let's go see what she has to say.
What is it? I don't know you, and you don't know me. Things are better that way.
Not very friendly.
You are an odd one. Normally, people keep a safe distance when they see this mask. But you... I'm called Lucatil. From the land of Mira to the far east, across the mountains. They say Drang Lake brims with powerful souls. And so I came to claim my share. But what a strange place. Even the rumors did not prepare me.
You do meet her in the Lost Bastille. You meet her in, I think, 4 different locations throughout her quest line. Depending on how you progress through the game, you can find her first either in the Lost Bastille or No Man's Wharf. In order to complete her quest, you do have to meet her in both locations. We're learning a little bit about her right now.
You are an odd one indeed. I've always made a point of avoiding people, while you've made a point of engaging me. I can see that you are mid-journey. If you require assistance, I will help you. I come from Mira, a land of knights. My sword is always ready. Don't hesitate to call upon me. Whatever happens, I won't be missed.
A little bit of insight into the way she thinks and what she thinks about herself, more importantly. Whatever happens, I won't be missed.
You are an odd one indeed. Well, okay. You've made a... I can see that you are... I come...
That's all of her dialogue at this location. I find that interesting because it could suggest one of two things at this point. She comes from Mira, a land of knights. Whatever happens, I won't be missed. It's possible she's suggesting that Mira does no longer exist. So it doesn't matter if she lives or die because her homeland, the place that she hails from, doesn't exist anymore. Got wiped out. Maybe her family, her friends are all dead. She's the last to exist. Or it simply implies that she does not believe her life is valuable. And we'll come back to these points next time we meet her. She'll have more dialogue for us. For now, me and Timmy, we're going to go ahead and explore more of this place. I'm going to throw on this short sword here for 1 second so I can destroy this wall. Get some human effigies. I do remember explicitly that was not human effigies in the original Dark Souls 2. In vanilla Dark Souls 2, that was a Ring of Life Protection. And the Ring of Life Protection was good. But I think now they removed... I think in the original Dark Souls 2, you could get 3 in each playthrough. Now I believe you can only get 1 in each playthrough, so... They realized it was a little bit too good, maybe. Have I mentioned that bow and arrows are incredibly good? What are you doing over here, Timmy? What, are you stuck on this table? Timmy? Get away from that table, Timmy. You're gonna light yourself on fire. Timmy! Come on over here, Timmy. There. I have removed the fire hazard, Timmy. After all, Timmy, you need perpetual adult supervision. Did not get that parry. But we tried. I think this is the room where Lucatiel originally showed up at No Man's Wharf. I don't really remember anymore. But I do remember that she wasn't always in that particular location. Oh, I hear doggo. Varangian cuffs. Oh! Whew. I'm glad I didn't start reading item descriptions there. Alright. Timmy, you protect me. I'm gonna read this item description here. Varangian cuffs. Cuffs worn by Varangians that terrorize nearby seas. The coastline stretches far in the north. Let me try that again. The coastline stretches far in northern Drangleic. Beyond this northern sea is an unexplored continent said to be the home of things inhuman. Beyond this northern sea is an unexplored continent said to be the home of things inhuman. Sounds to me, whatever this unexplored continent is supposed to be, sounds to me like it was consumed by the abyss. Chances are. What else we got in here? Anything neat? Any hidden walls over here? Can we knock this over? Nope. Nothing else in there, seems like. Oh, we got a hollow doing jumping attacks at us. But jumping attacks won't stop the brake train. The brake train. Jumping attacks won't stop the brake train. Heard it here first, folks. You can't do anything to us, buddy. You're all the way over there. We're all the way over here. We can see that there is stuff going on down there. Of course, now we have this guy shooting arrows at us from across the way. Battle of the Marksmen. Battling the invisible wall, apparently. Come on. Come on, buddy. Oh, too high. Really? Really? We can't get him from that angle. What about, like, more further over here? Go for his arm. Man, almighty, there's a lot of invisible walls, it seems, in Dark Souls 2. There we go. Nailed it. And he dropped an item over there. We'll have to remember to pick that up. Like I said, there is some action going on over here. We'll go ahead. Pull this guy with our bow and arrow here. I think he will, he should cut through these wagons and try and get up to us. Yeah, here he comes. Up these stairs. Get that parry off. 'Cause we be slick. We be real slick about it. Got a few dogs over here, though. They're a little hard to hit, as you can very clearly see. Well, I don't want to shoot Timmy. No, Timmy. We don't want to shoot you, Timmy. Dogs can be annoying to fight with rapiers. The dogs are crappy to fight in general in Dark Souls. Look how much health we lost fighting those dogs. Just because there's not really much you can do about it. I don't really like dog type enemies in Dark Souls. Not one bit. Let me still have you here. Could you not? I'd much prefer if you didn't. Oh, and... No, Timmy! I didn't mean it, Timmy. Please, please won't you forgive me, Timmy? All is well in our relationship. If we had a Ferris's Lockstone here, we could use that. And can we see it from here? Where is it? It doesn't look like we can really see it, but there is a huge light. Oh, there it is, right above us. That's why we couldn't see it. That big chandelier-looking thing lights up the area, which makes the area a little bit easier. But we don't have Ferris's Lockstone right now. We could get one, but we're going to go ahead and pass on that. Now, I'm not sure what Timmy's going to do. I'm not sure if Timmy's going to fall down here with us or if he's going to... Oh, hello, Timmy. Did you have a nice trip? How was your fall? Alright, then we still have this house over here to explore. We'll go ahead and do that. More Varangians. They're all sleeping at the table. I think there's 4 of them. 3 of them, it looks like. Looks like there's 3 of them in here total. If we backstab one, all of them get up. We're gonna head back out here. I picked like the worst direction to go in. Oh, he's dead. And you're also dead. I know I've mentioned a couple of times that I don't like this area, mostly because for the layout and the enemies, the way that the enemies are positioned. Knowing how the enemies are positioned is a huge, huge boon in this game. I'm making this look easy. Trust me, the first few times I went through this zone, it was... Oh, he didn't get up. Interesting. The first few times I went through this zone, it was hell. This is one of my least favorite zones in the game. Learning where the enemies are placed is going to be a lot of the battle in this particular section. Here we get the bandit axe and brigand hood. I'm just going to wrap up my thought. If you know the enemies, and this is speaking generally, of course, throughout the entire game, if you know where enemies are placed, if you know what to expect, obviously you can handle things a little bit better. But going in blind, it can be really, really intimidating. Can be very frustrating, too, to constantly be killed by stupid ambushes, stuff like that. Let's take a look at this bandit set. Or the brigand armor, I'm sorry. It was the bandit armor in Dark Souls 1. It's the bandit armor in Dark Souls 3. But the bandit is a different class in Dark Souls 2. So, armor donned by looting brigands. This armor may appear shoddy, but it is in fact a very functional piece of work. Its materials meticulously crafted together. A lot of people tend to like the brigand set because it's actually pretty decent armor, all things considered. Looks alright. I think it looks pretty cool myself. And it's pretty light. It's only, like right now it only weighs 34 pounds. But we're gonna go ahead and keep with our knight set here for now. And if you're not careful, see another ambush tactic. If you're not careful, you'll get ambushed by that fella, who was so kindly as to drop more Varangian cuffs for us. We already have a pair of those, so we don't need to look at them again. Repair powder and Titanite shard. Get more Titanite shards, which is always nice. Over here, we can see we are now on the opposite side of the stairs where we were before. And we have the Varangian armor. I don't think that has anything new on it. Nope. This is some pretty cool looking armor as well. I think I might actually rock this for the time being. This armor I do like. I don't know what about it in particular that I like, but I think it's pretty cool looking. Actually, it doesn't look too terrible with like the night gauntlets and stuff. I like this look a lot. And if you want, I believe you can make this jump. Yeah. Saves you a little bit of time getting back over here. Is there another item down? No. We haven't gotten to that yet. So this is really where the lighting the area up comes in handy, because these guys can be very hard to fight. These guys are pretty tough, all things considered, and the main takeaway is that they are afraid of fire, so they will run away from you if you're carrying, if you have your torch lit. Or, speaking of, what happened to Timmy? I think I accidentally killed Timmy. Oh no, Timmy's... We made that jump. So Timmy's probably back over here somewhere, isn't he? Timmy's up there. Let's go upstairs and... Come on, Timmy. I'm really curious. I believe Timmy's torch... I don't remember. I think I've done this once. But I believe Timmy's torch will, Man, you and Tables just do not get along, do you, Timmy? I believe Timmy's torch will, scare the enemies. I don't even know what they're called, to be honest with you. These big black monster-looking things. What are you doing, Timmy? We're all the way over here. You need to catch up, friend. You light my fire, Timmy. You light my fire, and I need you. I wonder how far Timmy will follow you. I wonder if it's possible to lure Timmy back to Majula. These are the things I think about when I'm playing Dark Souls 2. Come on, Timmy. We need to make sure we don't leave Timmy behind. See, I think Timmy's torch, if we get him close enough, will actually cause them to be afraid. Yep. They run pretty quickly from fire. They do not like it. No, we don't want to target Timmy. Oh, you're coming back. Oh, you're... Get him, Timmy! Get him with fire! So yeah, when they're cowering in fear, they'll hang out in these rooms, and as I've said many times before, bow and arrows super good. You can light this place up like a Christmas tree, and they will be cowering in fear in this dark room. And you can just stand at the doorway. They will not attack you, and you could just gun them down with your bow and arrow. Small soul of a lost undead and emit force. Take a look at that in a second. We want to make sure the area is safe before we go reading any item descriptions. Emit force is a spell, so I'll find it under my spells. A miracle derived from force emits a forward-moving shockwave. Throughout history, there have been many examples of imitative miracles. When discerning original from imitator is nigh on possible, which is which hardly matters. Not really any lore there. Alright, so... Timmy, I need you, Timmy. Open this door and immediately get attacked. But it's okay, because we have Timmy. Do you guys not care about the fire? Ow. It's almost like these guys don't actually care about the fire. They do not. That's interesting. I wonder if it's like these enemies, these three like guys in particular, or ow, I did not expect that to reach me. Well, you may not have done us a whole lot of good there, but we like to keep you around for moral support, Timmy. Timmy is our spirit animal tonight. Praise Timmy. Who needs the sun when you have Timmy? What? He hit me? How did he end up hitting me? I have questions. Heavy boots. I don't think we've gotten a pair of those yet. Nope. Boots favored by pyromancers. They appear tattered, but in fact the fabric is reinforced with pyromancy. Magic is no show. It is an art that allows mere mortals to glimpse into the very fabric of what is and may be. So they probably have decent fire resistance. They do. Interesting. In here, we used to have an NPC. They've moved him since. But we do have 2 chests. One of which being the Great Sword. If you are going to be playing a strength character, this is the sword for you. It is just a giant slab of unadulterated strength power. It is one of my favorite weapons in the game. I have played one too many playthroughs with this weapon, though, so not going with it again this time. Oh! Timmy! Timmy, why'd you stand in the arrows, Timmy? Timmy, you got. Why, Timmy? Timmy! A moment of silence for Timmy, our fallen Torch Hollow friend. We will remember him fondly in our minds and in our hearts. His body may die, but his spirit lives on. Timmy, you will live vicariously through us. Alright, Alright, that's everything for over here. Not a whole lot left of the zone, thankfully. Mostly thankful because my weapons are starting to feel the heat. That one dude is giving the other Varangian a hug. Oh, he's gonna give us a hug with his sword. 8, 13, 17, 11, 20 or so. 8, 13, 17, 11, 58. Rip Timmy. Timmy was the best NPC summon that we had. Who needs Bradley of the Old Guard when you have the NPC summon Little Timmy? Never forget. Here we have a switch that operates a bell. That causes this ship to wake up. Now, I believe that this maybe was supposed to be a ship that like was way off in the distance and then pulled up next to the dock. But that may not have been possible working with the technology that they were working with. I'm not really sure. But still, it is pretty cool. That is one of the cool things in the zone, how the bell rings and then the ship lights up with these ghostly lights and then pulls up to the dock, pulls up to the pier. Which of course means we gonna be getting on that ship. We gotta catch a ride. Gotta make Scooter proud, you know? Hey, friend. Bye, friend. Oh, you're still alive down there. Alright. Up here. Coming up, we'll have another small ambush. We have more of these guys over here. Oh! That almost went poorly. No, hit him. Hit him! There we go. We got there. Got some fire arrows here. I wonder. I don't think that that's I don't think that those are placed there by accident. These guys are probably weak to fire, aren't they? Oops. Yeah, oh yeah, look at that damage. These guys are definitely significantly weak to fire. Makes sense because they're afraid of it, yeah? I feel like I've missed a secret room. If we look carefully, you see this guy hanging out on the ceiling above us. Ow. What? I like got the backstab but didn't? Okay. If you say so, video game. Got another guy hanging here from the ledge. Come on. Careful not to fall off ourselves. Varangian helm. This is another cool piece of equipment. I guess I like the Varangian set. Yeah. This is very like a very Skyrim-esque piece of equipment. Very cool looking. But we're gonna stick with our fancy hunter's hat. Cause we be hunting hollows. Gotta avenge Timmy, you know what I'm saying? Here's this guy. Oh! This is, not great. Come on. Don't know if these guys can be parried, to be honest with you. I've never really tried parrying them. And here we got more Varangians. They're everywhere, buddy. They're everywhere. I will take you out in honor of Timmy. Gonna go ahead and swap to a different weapon here for a minute. Throw on my fire longsword. The Varangian helm. Ooh, fragment branch viewer. That's nice. The Varangian helm. I don't think it has anything particularly special on it. Helmet worn by the Varangians that terrorize nearby seas. The coastline stretches far in northern Drang Lake. Beyond this northern sea is an unexplored continent, said to be the home of things inhuman. A lot of times, armor will just have slight variations of the same lore. So, like, that's the Varangian helm, and then the Varangian armor worn by Varangians that terrorize nearby seas. So, a lot of times with armor, if you read one piece of armor lore, then you've pretty much read all of them. You can use throwing knives to safely kill these jars. Otherwise, you take a lot of poison damage. And we don't necessarily want that. No, sir. Throwing knife and flame butterfly. So we get our throwing knives back. We also pick up a flame butterfly. This is the first one that we fought. Light torch autonomously? I wouldn't use that word there. Flame butterfly. Bottle filled with dried red butterflies. Stimulation of these rare butterflies creates a small flame, allowing torches to be lit on the go. These butterflies exude secretions which ignite upon exposure to air, protecting them from natural predators. Known and loved as handy firelighters, but feared as the catalyst of disastrous fire when found in swarms. I know what the word means. It basically means that it can light the torch by itself. That you don't need anything additional. Oh, I never read the Silver Talisman, did I? I'll go ahead and do that now while I'm thinking of it. Silver Talisman, a tiny charm embedded with imitative magic. Used to transform into something to blend in. Use this talisman to hide from invaders. Only provides the most superficial camouflage, but sometimes that is enough to do the trick. We only have two. I'm not going to use it right now. But this is basically the chameleon spell. It turns you into a part of the environment. Like, it could turn us into, like, a bookshelf, for example. And the functionality of that is tricking invaders with it. Here, we have this thin-looking wall, which is easily destroyed with a Titanite lizard behind it. Some Titanite shards and a large Titanite shard. Very nice. We also have Soul of a Nameless Soldier. Fading Soul. Soul of a Nameless Soldier. 3 life gems. And, of course, treasure. Ever so important. Royal Soldier's Ring. Where's that at? Royal Soldier's Ring. A ring bearing a soldier's seal increases the load that can be carried. These rings were granted to warriors who distinguished themselves in service of King Vendrick. The king favored simple warriors who staked their every battle on strength alone. The king favored simple warriors who staked their every battle on strength alone. So King Vendrick was really into physical prowess, physical martial combat is what he seemed to believe. And we'll swap the stone ring out for this, because that increases our carry weight by quite a bit. Without it, we're at 50.7. Slap that on, we're at 46.5. Not that we really need it right now, but I equipped the large leather shield and didn't even end up using it at all. Whatever, it's alright. So now we can head down there. Down there's the wharf where that ship is now making berth. But we have a little bit more to explore over here. You can hear some Varangians up above. Hello, sir. None of that, please, and thank you. Here is the secret wall that I had, I wanted to make sure we didn't miss. It sounded like somebody dropped down behind me. So in here we have 2 chests and 2 imitation chests. Got some weapons sitting on the wall. 3 fire bombs, not really that useful. And a large titanite shard. That's a little bit more useful to us. That's what I was hearing. I was hearing Gavlan. I moved Gavlan over here. Apparently. Gavlan wheel. Gavlan deal.
Who are you? I, Gavlan. Gavlan wheel, Gavlan deal. Gavlan wants soul. Many, many soul. What you want. With Gavlan, you will, you deal.
Gavlan is a traveling merchant who likes to wheel and deal. You can sell equipment to him. We don't need 2 short swords. We can sell one of our short swords here. We can sell one of our bastard swords. Get some extra souls while we're here, might as well. Since we don't really get anything from having a lot of duplicate items. Get rid of the Varangian cuffs, some of the old knight gauntlets. Gavlan is a traveling merchant. Every time you meet him will be in a different location. You will meet him 3 times total. The first 2 times will be in 2 different locations. Then the 3rd time you meet him, it becomes his permanent location for the rest of the game. Until your next playthrough. Yeah, we are pretty much good there. Let's see what he has to say.
Gavlan wheel, Gavlan deal. Gavlan wants soul. Many, many. What? With Gavlan.
He doesn't have any new dialogue. Ring of Giants, poison arrows. Poison, I feel like, is a little less good in this game, to be honest with you. Having some poison stuff can be nice. Some bosses are weak to poison, so having some poison stuff can be nice, but it's not like super, super important, I don't think. That is some pretty deep lore. Gavlin wheels, and then, as a direct result, Gavlin deals. Huh. I'm gonna have to take some time to digest that, because I never thought about it that way. So maybe we'll talk about that more next time we see Gavlan. He does give you stuff. I forget the exact amount of souls you have to spend for him to give you his item. I think you get the Germ Great Axe from him, I want to say. I'm going to look this up real quick. 15,000 souls worth of goods, you get the Germ Great Axe. Yeah. It's not something that we necessarily need, so we don't really need to worry about it. We might try and pick it up at some point. Probably won't be until later on, though.
Many deal, many thanks.
Meanwhile, Gavlin will be wheeling and dealing. Here is a shortcut. This takes us back up over here. Down below is the Pharos' Lockstone location and everything. There is still one more NPC to meet in this area. And by the time we fight the boss and get to the next zone, we'll probably be in a good position to finish up with tonight's stream. Wow, they really do not like fire damage. This, just to remind you, is a totally unupgraded fire longsword. And it's doing... I think this is actually doing more damage to them than my +4 rapier. So fire damage is a huge boon against these guys. How did that hit me? Was that just me? That seemed like that attack landing was very, very strange. And that's the second time something like that has happened against these guys. It's more than slightly annoying. Little more than slightly annoying. But yeah, if you've doubted at any point the veracity of the fire longsword, whoa, we got company here. Let this be a testament to just how good it can be. Definitely is a pretty good weapon considering for how early you get it in the game. Like I said when we picked it up, it can carry you. It can be the weapon that you use for the entire playthrough. Send that guy straight back to the depths of hell. I think there's another guy over here somewhere. Yep. What can be the carry weapon? The fire longsword is a very, very good weapon. It can carry you through your first playthrough. All truth be told. Like, we're two-shotting these guys with an unupgraded fire longsword. So it can't be that bad. Alright, this is the summon sound for Lucatiel. We will be summoning Lucatiel. We will be doing her quest. We got to do it for the lore. Got to do it for the lore. But before we do that, we still have one more NPC that we need to summon. This is the shortcut. Go ahead and knock this down. This brings us all the way back to the beginning of the zone. If there was ever a time to hit the bonfire, now would be that time. Which, depending on how much Estus and stuff like that you have, you might end up wanting to do. But we're okay. Tricky barrels. They put these sandbags behind those barrels. And more than once I've rolled through those barrels, hit the sandbags, and then been knocked off the... my momentum, rather, carries me off the pier. Kind of a dick move there from Software. Here we have Carillion of the Fold. He's wearing sorcerer's gear, so he's quite obviously a sorcerer. Let's see what he has to say.
I sense power. Very well. From this day, you shall be my new pupil. I am Carillion. Carillion of the Fold. Surely you've heard the name. Now, do not be afraid. Let us explore the limits of sorcery.
So you can reinforce your Pyromancy Flame with him. We haven't gotten a Pyromancy Flame yet, so we don't know what that does. You can buy a Sorcerer's Staff, Spell Quartz Ring, Clear Blue Stone Ring, which is pretty useful for a caster build. Amber Herbs, Twilight Herbs, Simpleton Spice. We'll look at the Simpleton Spice because we haven't seen this yet. A spice exuding a peculiar aroma. A spell demands devotion from its caster, but using this spice makes a chosen spell attainable with one less intelligence. Will only work with assistance from a certain person. The spice does not raise one's intelligence, but only obfuscates the requirement. So, there's Simpleton Spice and I believe a Skeptic Spice are the two different items that are like this. One is for sorceries, the other one I believe is for miracles. What this does is you use it in conjunction with one of the spells that you have obtained, and it lowers the intelligence requirement to cast that spell by 1. So if you get a few of these Simpleton Spice, kind of maybe a lower intelligence character, but want to use some sorceries, you have the ability to do so with Simpleton Spice. I think it's a pretty cool item. It's pretty useful. It can be very, very nifty. So the fact that they put something like this in the game, kind of neat. And then he sells, of course, some sorceries. Soul Arrow, Great Soul Arrow, Heavy Soul Arrow, Great Heavy Soul Arrow, Shockwave, Soul Spear Barrage, Magic Weapon, Yearn, and that's it. I've thought about maybe picking up Magic Weapon. I like having weapon buffs, but we might hold off on this for now. Let's see what he has to say.
The forces of magic and souls lie dormant in this land. It is a fitting place to hone my sorceries. I suspect that I may even conjure up new spells here. Sorcery is yet a mystery even to me. Let us mature together, young pupil. Use scrolls to unleash the power of sorceries. But the power of each scroll is reliant on that of its owner. The untrained cannot wield a scroll to its proper potential. Never forget, young pupil, there are no shortcuts to mastery. The forces of magic, it is a fit, I suspect, source.
So he's your kind of typical sorcerer type character, looking for better sorceries, to harness sorceries a little bit better. We'll see him again in Majula.
One day my teachings will save you.
We should see him. I'm not 100% sure what the actual trigger is for him to go back to Majula now that I think about it. I want to triple check that too. Pull up the wiki here. After the player defeats the Flexile Sentry and talks to him with 8+ intelligence, he moves to Majula and waits under a tree to the right of Leningrad shop. Okay, so we are we met the requirements. So yeah, we'll see him back in Majula. If we decide that we want to go ahead and buy that magic weapon spell. Gonna pop a repair powder here. And last thing before we summon Lucatiel, there are some enemies on the boat up ahead here that we want to take care of. Take care of you. I wonder if all of these guys are weak to fire. Well, rolled way too early on that one. Doesn't really matter. And I wonder if these guys can be parried. I don't think right now is the time to check, though. To be totally honest with you. Alright, now we can go back and summon Lucatiel. There is, just so you're aware, I've seen it happen before, there's a very small chance that Lucatiel, her AI can break, and she can walk off the edge of these platforms. So you kind of just want to summon her and head over to the boat. Because if you're not careful, she will kind of bug out and walk off the edge of the platform, the edge of the pier, and it'll be instant death. She didn't do it this time, thankfully. Her pathing pulled through for us, and we're gonna go ahead and equip. I'm gonna go with. Dark pine resin here, I think. Because if we come down these stairs, we see a fog gate, and we all know what fog gates mean, don't we? You ready for this, Lucatiel? You gotta get pumped up. We're not fighting for you, we're not fighting for me. Lucatiel, Twitch chat, you already know. We're doing this for Timmy. This one's for you, Timmy, old pal. This is a pretty easy boss fight. Most of the time, you want to try and fight the mace half of him. As you can see, he's like two people fighting together. You generally want to try and fight the mace side of him because the mace side is a lot slower and easier to dodge. With Lucatiel, as you can see, it's kind of stupid simple. Lucatiel will aggro the boss usually, and then you could just sit there wailing on him, and it's really just a stupid easy fight. Just make sure you don't get caught in the crossfire. There's really nothing to it. So this is an oddity with the Scholar of the First Sin edition. Here we see a chest, right? And over here is where the shadow of the chest is, which is interesting to me because it seems to suggest that, like, shadows, there is no real shadow physics in Dark Souls 2. Like, our character doesn't seem to cast a shadow, and while things do clearly, like, this navigational table is casting a shadow over here, right? It seems to suggest that, like, these barrels, these boxes, they're not casting any shadow. So the lighting engine in Dark Souls 2 doesn't have a shadow engine, which to me is kind of funny, because I think Dark Souls 1 does have a shadow engine. And this is kind of one of those weird things that they use the Havoc engine for Dark Souls 1. I'm not sure which engine they used for Dark Souls 2, but they switched engines. And then they went back to the Havoc engine for Dark Souls 3. So it's just one of those quirky little things. Now in Dark Souls 2, vanilla Dark Souls 2, the chest was over here. So you didn't really notice how the shadow engine worked. But now that they moved the chest and there's no shadow, it's one of those quirky things. Dark Souls 1 has also really shitty gamma. I suppose that's fair to say. We are talking about Dark Souls 1. It's like, I want to say Dark Souls is a 2001 game. Something like that. So it's an older game at this point. And on top of that, Dark Souls 1 was designed for console. So already you had technical limitations being pushed onto the development team that they had to be compensating for. If it was designed for PC from the get-go, it probably would look a lot better. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Let's take a look at this Pyromancer's Flame. A flame catalyst used by pyromancers. Pyromancers rouse this flame to produce various fire arts. Equip Pyromancy Flame to produce pyromancy. Attune pyromancies at a bonfire. The strength of a pyromancy depends on the strength of one's pyromancy flame, which can be improved through reinforcement. So you get a lot more strength out of improving your pyromancy flame rather than the raw stats like you do through miracles and sorceries. That's a very important distinction to be made with pyromancy. And then we picked up Fireball, I believe. Let's take a quick look at that. A standard spell for pyromancers creates a fireball that is hurled at foes. To use pyromancies, equip a pyromancy flame to serve as the catalyst and assign a pyromancy to an attunement slot. The power of a pyromancy is directly affected by the quality of the catalyst. More so than sorceries and miracles, and I think more so than hexes. I've never really played a hexing character in Dark Souls 2, so I'm not familiar with the kind of in-depth mechanics of hexing. And then, of course, we also have the Flexile Sentry Soul, which we picked up. Soul of the Flexile Sentry. The Flexile Sentry is a merciless creature whose purpose is to punish the undead. Now, does that mean that he's kind of meting out justice? That he's punishing undead that deserve to be punished, and he's kind of like judge, jury, executioner? That's one way of looking at it. Or does it simply mean that he punishes the undead? The sin itself that he's punishing is being undead. Not really sure on that one. could go either way. I think, thinking about it for a second, I think it's more likely that the sin he's punishing is being undead. He doesn't have any the flexile sentries, and there are multiple flexile sentries. They're not like judge, jury, executioner. They're not keeping any sort of law. They're just mercilessly punishing, killing, hunting undead over and over and over again. So we'll go ahead and examine this here, which will bring us to our next location. And it looks like more or less we're going to be wrapping this up exactly at 2 hours. Going for a leisurely boat ride. At a no man's wharf to the Lost Bastille. We cannot get back on the ship, so we're forced to move forward. Can't really see anything except for the ship and the cliff face. There is what appears to be the moon over there. Is it the moon? That might actually be the sun. It's just very, very overcast in this location. I've never really thought about that before. I just always assumed it was supposed to be nighttime. But looking at it now, that might be the sun behind the clouds. And it's just very, very overcast. May not necessarily matter. Left. Looks like there might be like some sort of phantom here or something in one of the New Game Plus cycles. I don't know. I haven't played through Scholar of the First Sin on a New Game Plus cycle ever, actually. I always just end up starting new characters. And if I have, I do not remember. And I honestly don't believe I have. You seem kind of stuck, buddy. Well, wasn't fast enough on the roll. Was fast enough on the parry, though. Got him. He has more Varangian cuffs for us. Don't really need those, but thank you, buddy. It's the thought that counts most of the time, right? This elevator will take us up. We can see treasure right there. Which means we're gonna go for another elevator ride here, folks. But that's okay. Because that's the main attraction of Elevator World, isn't it? We'll make a once around here real fast. I don't believe there's a. I didn't even remember that guy being there, but picked that up by accident. I don't think there's any hidden secret walls here. Doesn't seem to be. So we're going to go ahead, send the elevator back down, and roll out of it before it closes up. And as it's going down, we'll go ahead and hop on top of it. And when we get to the bottom, we can access this treasure. A scimitar and a repair powder. A scimitar was one of our starting pieces of equipment. Small curved sword with a narrow blade. The rapid slashing of the lightweight scimitar hardly allows the victim to catch a breath. Has a sharp blade but is rather ineffective against armor and hard skin. We should have a +1 scimitar here too, because we started with a +1 scimitar. But for most characters, that's going to be the first scimitar you find, unless you get lucky and get one off of the Varangians wielding scimitars. We did not. We were not so lucky. We only got this cool armor. I defeated No Man's Wharf and I only got this stupid shirt. That's how I feel right now. Isn't that accurate? Lost Bastille. If you remember... Got a hollow. Or a hollow corpse. Kind of grabbing at the doors here. If you remember, the Lost Bastille is where we ended up after the bird picked us up. And carried us here after the Cardinal Tower, after the Forest of Fallen Giants. We have all these cells with hollows that are either dead and intentionally not animated because they're dead, or they're supposed to be trapped and not animated because that would put a lot of pressure on the technology. Common fruit. A spotted fruit temporarily boosts poison resist. This common fruit has no taste, but when facing a true test of metal, its benefits could make the difference between life and death. Or, just an idea, you can stock up on many, many life shards and basically totally counter poison with life shards. Just one strategy. Some people speculate because the description, I'll pull it up again, the description on the Varangian armor mentions the coastline far in northern Drangleic. Beyond this northern sea is an unexplored continent said to be home of things inhuman. It seems to suggest that No Man's Wharf is on the northern, the northern coastline of Drangleic, and it kind of implies that the Lost Bastille is to the north. We know in Dark Souls 1, we know that the Undead Asylum was separated from the main land. It was not something that you could get to by foot. When you left the Northern Asylum and when you came back to the Undead Asylum in Dark Souls 1, you were carried by a bird. Much like how we're carried here by a bird from the Forest of Fallen Giants. Is this supposed to be the Northern Asylum from Dark Souls 1? Maybe. If you subscribe to the idea that Drangleic is Lordran, it is the same landmass, then yes, I would say that the Lost Bastille is supposed to be the Northern Undead Asylum. Albeit, probably thousands upon thousands of years later. If you do not subscribe to that Drangleic is Lordran and you believe that Drangleic is a land of its own, then obviously you won't think that it's the Undead Asylum. My opinion on this matter has actually changed from the first time I played Dark Souls 2. And there is some bias here. The first time I played through Dark Souls 2, I didn't really care for it that much. I didn't really care for the story. I didn't really care for the game itself. while the gameplay was fantastic, and the changes that they made to the combat system are really, really good compared to Dark Souls 1, I didn't I didn't want Dark Souls 2 to take place in Lordran. In my mind, it like sullied the good name of Dark Souls 1 for Dark Souls 2 to take place in the same location. But my opinion has long since changed on Dark Souls 2. I don't think it's a bad game anymore. I don't necessarily think it's the best Dark Souls game, but playing through Dark Souls 2 actually altered my playing through Dark Souls 3 actually changed my perspective of Dark Souls 2 quite a bit. We can see a bonfire right here. But I think playing through this again after playing through Dark Souls 3 and playing through Dark Souls 2 again, I think that this is in fact supposed to be Lordran. They kind of went back in Dark Souls 3 and retconned some of this. Some of the lore in Dark Souls 2 was changed via Dark Souls 3 and retconning some information. Well, maybe not even necessarily retconning, just making things a little bit more accurate than these kind of vague concepts. But I do believe this is supposed to be the Northern Undead Asylum. And that I do believe Drang Lake is supposed to be Lordran, Land of the Gods, from Dark Souls 1. At this bonfire, we're going to use up some of these souls. Tap into our little bank we got going on over here. And then we're going to head back to Majula. We're going to do a little bit of maintenance here. And then we'll probably call the stream for tonight because I do have work in the morning. So I want to relax a little bit before I head to bed. First things first. Do I have a Estus Flask shard? I do not. Alright, just wanted to make sure.
There, see, less.
We'll go ahead and level up here. We can, and we have 2 more points. I wanted to make sure my intellect and faith were both at 13. Because I want to be able to pick up the weapon that I want to get. Which, we actually might be able to do that real fast. I just want to make... I don't think it has high strength requirements. I want to double check that one more time. Because it's mostly a dexterity weapon. Yeah, it only requires 7 strength, so we're good there. Still, I might bring my strength up 1 point, so I can start using... the... whatchamacallit? Haid Knight Sword that I like so very, very much. Where we could like bring our vitality or endurance up to 10. I think this is good. I think this is fine. This should get us to where we need to go. And we do need some extra souls to get to where we need to go and purchase the weapon that I want. So we'll probably round out the episode with going to do that right now, since we can do it right now. So Lycia of Lindelt is now hanging out in this chamber. If you remember the Crestfallen Warrior talking about a contraption that moved the gate here, but he didn't know how to use it, Lycia might have an answer for us.
Oh, hello there. An honor to see you again. This room is not as it seems. There are two, not one pathways leading out. And only this lovely thing reveals the other path. And this, you lovely thing, only runs on miracles. Shall I provide you with one?
Yeah, I've always thought about that myself. The fact that there's wind effects on her coat here. But if you look, I was gonna say there's wind effects on our armor, but there really isn't, is there? Huh. I mean, you can make the argument that if the breeze is strong enough, the breeze is coming down from Majula and affecting her coat. Alternatively, you can write it off as just bullshit video game stuff. That's probably really all it is bullshit video game stuff. Because similar to how there's no real lighting effect, she was standing outside before, and this is what I was gonna say. We meet her the first time outside in Hades Tower of Flame in kind of this open area. Because there's probably no internal mechanism saying, okay, there's a wind effect here, her character model is probably just programmed to have this wind effect in the art. So if there's a wind effect or not in the area, it doesn't matter. Because her character is modeled to have the wind effect built into her character model. That's what's probably going on the development side of things. We're going to go ahead and move this path. I don't know if it's lazy programming so much as it is if you don't kind of have these tertiary systems inside the engine that determine, okay, the wind is blowing, her coat is moving. The wind's not blowing, her coat's not moving. If you don't have kind of an underlying system to make that call in the programming, then you really have to rely on the art team to do something like that. And maybe it is lazy development in the sense that did the art team have to make a whole new model just to change her coat wind effects? Probably not. But it probably saved them a lot of time not to have to worry about it. Let's see if she has anything new to say.
To cast miracles, you must have strong faith in the gods. Miracles began as tales told by gods. We preserve their will with law, pray to their greatness, and are blessed in return. You must nourish your faith.
Miracles are tales of the gods.
Miracles have been passed down through us since the first flame. Isn't it extraordinary to think they've existed since the very origins of the world? And now, you can have this power for yourself. Don't miss out on the road to enlightenment. What is the first flame? Well, it's... You're not ready to comprehend it, I'm afraid. You require more faith and more miracles, many more miracles. To cast miracles,
okay.
You must.
So Lycia of Lindelt is really kind of like that smooth-talking traveling merchant type. She kind of swindles you into buying things you don't need because you're gullible and easily persuaded to buy things you don't need because you think you need them. That's kind of her shtick. That's kind of her angle. Of course, if you're a cleric, miracle casting character build, you'll want her miracles, which kind of makes her character angle strange. But that aside, it's interesting that she talks about the first flame and how miracles have existed since the first flame. But when you ask her about the first flame, she says, "Oh, you're not ready. You can't comprehend it." She deflects the question. It suggests that she doesn't actually know what the first flame really is either. It's an interesting lore point, and it's something that we might come back to.
May the power of miracles be with you. Offer your souls to the gods.
We're gonna go ahead and move on here for the time being, though. Rogue water. I think this is the first rogue water we've picked up. Where is it? Right here. Rogue water. Crimson water of unknown origin restores HP and spell uses. Though known to some as red holy water, not everyone acknowledges its holy status. Okay. Might be a boon from the gods, might not be. That's really the lore that we get out of that. Go ahead, continue along this path here. Down there, I believe, is only certain death. Along this way, we see a man sitting in a chair, staring at a wall. I'm sure he's having fascinating conversations. Although, he's... Okay, we'll talk to him first.
The dark stirs. I see them. The dark is sparked within you. My name is Falcon. I will trade with you. What do you need?
What we need, sir, is your amazing Chaos Rapier weapon. Gonna go ahead and pick this up. Basically, I have just enough, so it worked out really well. He also sells the Ring of Life Protection. Amazing ring. Super good ring, especially in the later half of the game. It kind of works like a Ring of Sacrifice, where it nullifies death, you don't hollow out, you don't lose your souls, but it breaks. Downside is it costs 3,000 souls to repair. Upside is, later on in the game especially, 3,000 souls is a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. So, especially as you move into like New Game Plus 1 and further into new game cycles, these rings become super, super valuable, and it almost trivializes dying in Dark Souls 2. I think these were intentionally added to help kind of make the game less punishing, make the punishment less severe for messing up. He sells an unlimited supply of dark pine resin, which is nice, and he sells hexes. I'm not going to bother taking a look at any of these quite yet.
Come again, as you like. The dark is...
And when we get our faith and intelligence to 20 each, I believe it's 20 each, he'll give us some equipment that will have some lore on it. So now we have the Chaos Rapier. An excellent weapon. It's nothing too fancy in the way of a moveset compared to the regular rapier. It's exactly the same. But it has the split physical and fire damage, which can be really, really nice. It's upgraded through Twinkling Titanite, so we won't really be able to upgrade it quite yet. I want to go ahead and put my short bow in this hand. And now we'll head back to Majula. Don't forget the lore. This is why we keep you around. You keep me on point. Like I said, it's been a very, very long time since I've done like a real lore-focused run of a Dark Souls game. So I don't remember to check every single piece of equipment. So reminding me, good on you. Otherwise we might miss something important. Chaos Rapier, Rapier of Darkness and Chaos. Once a brilliant young sorcerer, cast away his earthly desires, devoting himself entirely to the dark that bewitched him. Nebulous, inky, and serene, the dark holds an allure matched only by the fear it strikes in men's hearts. Could it be nature holding a mirror to mankind? So that's kind of like, that's almost a play on words. And the reason why I say that is, it may not necessarily be a play on words, but it's kind of using the definition against you. Could it be nature holding a mirror to mankind? Because the dark is humanity, right? We know from Dark Souls 1 that humanity, what reverses the hollowing process and keeps you human, keeps you from really hollowing out, is the consumption of humanity. Humanity is a soft substance made of pure dark. It is a splinter of the dark soul. So you're literally consuming a part of the dark soul to retain your humanity. So by saying, could it be nature holding mirror to mankind? Well, men are of the dark. Humankind is of the dark. So it's kind of saying that this darkness is humanity's natural state. That's kind of interesting to think about to me. Anyway, we are at the 2-hour, 7-minute mark. I'm going to go ahead and call it tonight. We got through No Man's Wharf. Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight. I will probably be back tomorrow for more streaming. I don't see why I won't be. To continue this Dark Souls 2 lore through, which I'm having a lot of fun with. I'm glad I made the decision to do this. I'll catch you tomorrow, I suppose, for more Dark Souls 2.